Okay, we're starting to get into some pretty dark stuff that Ben Shapiro has said in the past. And I've just been basically reading a bunch of articles of shit that he wrote, and it's a lot of trash, and it's really starting to get fucking tiring. But here's what we have here today. So, Ben Shapiro advocated for the ethnic cleansing of Arab Palestinians from Israel. Now, here's what this article he wrote on Town Hall says. It says, here is the bottom line. If you believe that the Jewish state has a right to exist, then you must allow Israel to transfer the Palestinians and the Israeli Arabs from Judea, Samaria, Gaza, and Israel proper. It's an ugly solution, but it is the only solution. And it's far less ugly than the prospect of bloody conflict ad infinitum when two populations are constantly enmeshed in conflict. It is insane to suggest that somehow deep-seated ideological change will miraculously occur, allowing the two sides to live together. And then he goes on to talk about some other stuff. And here's what he says. Here's something else that I want to say. He says also, the Jews don't realize that expelling a hostile population is a commonly used and generally effective way of preventing violent entanglements. There are no gas chambers here. It's not genocide. It's transfer. It's not Hitler. It's Churchill. So here, and then I'm going to be talking about something else that he says. But basically, prior to this, he wrote a paragraph basically saying that, they call us Nazis whenever we talk about this solution because ethnic cleansings are very often used in genocides, and I'm going to be explaining here what he says here. He gives an example here. He says, after World War II, Poland was recreated by the Allied powers. In doing so, the Allies sliced off a chunk of Germany and extended Poland west to the Oder-Neisse line. Anywhere from 3.5 million to 9 million Germans were forcibly expelled from the new Polish territory and relocated in Germany. And then he also says British Prime Minister Winston Churchill was pleased with the result. In 1944, he had explained to the House of Commons that expulsion is the method which, so far as we have been able to see, will be the most satisfactory and lasting. There will be no mixture of populations to cause endless trouble. And then he goes on to say some other stuff as well. But here's what's important here. So the really quote that really stood out to me here is, of course, the one where he advocates for ethnic cleansing, but also the one where he says it's not genocide, it's transfer. It's not Hitler, it's Churchill. So I had read a Twitter thread from somebody, I can't remember who it was, but he just detailed so much of the shitty shit that Winston Churchill had done, and I had realized how much of a complete asshole Churchill was. And if it wasn't for the Nazis, Churchill would have gone down in history as a massive asshole. But because of the Nazis, he has this kind of image as, this good guy because of the Nazis, because he fought off the Nazis and he didn't get, obviously Britain didn't get, taken over by the Nazis. They're the only country in Europe to not be taken over. So here's, the example that he gives. He completely leaves out all of or maybe he just doesn't know, because he doesn't know a lot of stuff apparently. Due to that forced expulsion, basically, like 3.5 to 9 million Germans were forced into Germany out of the place that they then gave to Poland. But this actually led to 400,000 people dead, which is the least amount. And there was mass rape, torture, and murder. And there are a lot of things that are said about this. There's a lot of things that are given, a lot of stuff that's written about this atrocity, and it's something that's considered one of the more forgotten ones because people don't really talk about it. And it's not really known because, of course, the Germans did this shit to the Jews, so when it happened to them, it just kind of got swept under the rug. Now, here's the thing about ethnic cleansing. Here's what basically, it's like ethnic cleansing article on Wikipedia. Here's what it says. It says, however, ethnic cleansing in the broad sense, the forcible deportation of a population, is defined as a crime against humanity under the statutes of both International Criminal Court, ICC, and the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia. And then it goes on to talk more about how it's a crime against humanity. But an ethnic cleansing would inevitably lead to the killing of possibly hundreds of thousands of people. It would definitely lead to mass rape, torture, violence, and all kinds of stuff like that, because that's just the nature of ethnic cleansing, and it's a pretty dark solution that he provides here. And I'm going to be delving into a lot of the other bigoted, prejudiced things that he said about Palestinians in the past. But this is just one crazy example where he literally advocates ethnic cleansing of Palestinians.